Welcome back. Joining us is Representative Marlin Stutzman. He's a Republican of Indiana, a member of the Budget and Financial Services Committee, and also a Freedom Caucus member. Congressman, welcome to the program.
Good morning. Great to be with you this morning.
As a member of the Budget Committee and of the Freedom Caucus, you said earlier this week that you would support a continuing resolution.
Yes.
And that is to extend current funding for 45 days. That's up until November 21st. Is that still the case? Are you still supporting that?
I am, yes. And part of the reason is because the appropriations process is still working its way through. It's been a challenge, but at the same time, we need to make sure that there's stability for the economy, that people know that government's not going to shut down, and give them more time to work. The hard part, the hurdle to get over, is going to be over in the Senate because they have the 60-vote threshold for cloture votes, and I don't believe that Democrats would support a Republican budget, and so that's the hurdle that's hard to get past on the Senate side. We could probably get it done in the House, but knowing that the Senate would probably not get that done is just a reason that a CR makes sense for me, and I believe that also, it freezes spending. It's one of the things that I'm, as a budget hawk, believe that we need to reduce our debt and deficit. $37 trillion is, I believe, the greatest threat to our country. We're paying $1 trillion in interest, so that's why I think this is the right move.
So, if it were to pass, what do you think needs to happen, policy-wise, budget-wise, after that?
Well, I think the Appropriations Committee continues to do their work. We passed the Defense Authorization Bill last week. We'll likely pass the CR this week, but it gives the Appropriations Committee the time to finish up their work, and then we'll see where we're at in 45 days. To see if there's any chance of moving those bills through the Senate and onto the president's desk as some sort of larger package. But if not, then it looks like we'll probably have to do another CR.
A key point of contention is the ACA health insurance subsidies. Yeah. That's Obamacare that are set to expire.
Yeah.
Where are you on that, and do you think that they should be extended?
Well, I don't. I mean, we're going to have to figure out health care altogether again. I mean, I come from the private sector. I was in Congress and out for 8 years, and we just continue to see the cost of healthcare and health insurance going through the roof. Employees are depending on companies to provide the benefits for healthcare, but then when they get the premiums and the businesses see what the cost of healthcare is, the insurance, it's enormous. And talking to healthcare providers, the cost continues to go up. This is a challenge that our country is going to have to deal with because it's one of our largest budget items in the federal budget, and so I think that we're going to have to start taking some sort of measures to say, look, we've got to rein in the cost of health care because then that'll bring down the cost of insurance.
Critics, though, are saying that people are going to lose their health insurance if these aren't extended.
I don't believe that's. I think what will happen, because we're seeing a lot of waste and fraud and abuse, more fraud and abuse, I believe, with the health insurance programs. There's too many hands in the cookie jar, and we're not thinking about the patients and the doctors at the end of the day. I mean, you got large administrations that are having to manage all of these pieces of what is the price of health care. And I think that's where we need to address those pieces where, we kind of get back to the basics and making sure that our patients get the care that they need, that they can go to the doctor that they want to. My wife asks me, oftentimes she's like, I'm going to go to the doctor, do we have insurance? It's like, yes, we have insurance, but we're always paying out of pocket because our deductibles are so high. So this is going to have to be...
So with the expiration of those subsidies, do you think that would actually get better? That your paying out of pocket would be less? Or would it put healthcare out of reach for certain people?
For my constituents and in Northeast Indiana, we've got one healthcare system that's one of the most expensive in the country. And I think the only way that you force them to get their costs under control is to the money's not going to be there. If the money's there, they're going to always take it, and they're always going to spend it. And so that's why I think they're going to have to find another way to provide the services without
the insurance companies would bring down their rates, you
Correct,
think?
yes. And that's going to force the healthcare providers to bring their costs down as well and find more efficient ways. I mean, this is so abnormal because, I remember growing up, how when my mom would go to the doctor, she would pay some of the bill, turn it into insurance, and it was covered. at this point, most people are having to pay out of pocket because their deductibles are so high, and then the premiums are just as much as a mortgage anymore. So something's wrong in the system.
Our guest is Marlin Stutzman. He is a Republican from Indiana, and he is with us, and we'll take your calls. So you can go ahead and start calling in now if you'd like to talk to him. It's Democrats are on 202-748-8000. Republicans are on 202-748-8001, and Independents 202-748-8002. I want to turn to the assassination of Charlie Kirk. There have been reports that a lot of lawmakers are afraid for their personal safety in the wake of that killing. What do you think of that, and how do you feel specifically?
I was in the State House for 8 years and had multiple death threats for a variety of reasons. We would always turn those over to the state police, and of course I've had death threats from here in Washington as well, turn those over to the Capitol Police. And those are also often very concerning times, but I know that people's emotions get high and they say things that are not acceptable, and that you have to take every one of them seriously. But my hope is that we come together as Republicans and Democrats and dial down the rhetoric and say, look, at the end of the day, we're all Americans. I mean, an assassination attempt, or an assassination like what happened to Charlie Kirk, and an assassination attempt that happened to President Trump, we think of those in countries like Syria or other parts of the world, but it's happening right here. And I think that there's a mental health aspect that we really need to address and focus on. From what it appears, this assassin was very involved in the dark web and was in chat rooms and places that people he didn't even know, but there's information that he's getting that's affecting him. I think the text thread between him and his boyfriend is very telling about who he was. And so I think it's concerning to me, and I think not only do we need to address the physical health of Americans, but we also need to address the mental health as well.
All right, and I just want to play for you at a press conference yesterday. Here's Democratic Caucus Chair Representative Pete Aguilar speaking about this, and then I'll get your response.
Sure.
Well, all of us have an obligation to reduce the tensions here. I understand the moment that we're in. Vice Chair and I were sworn in the same day. In 2015, we've been here 10 years. He gave a litany of the political violence that we've seen. I'd also call your attention, over 10 years ago, Dylan Roof killed 9 innocent people in a church. Democrats, and his sole intent was to start a race war, is what he said. Democrats didn't blame Republicans. They didn't try to go after Republican organizations when that came to light. We did everything we could to bring people together. President Obama, legislative leaders denounced all that. Legislative leaders on every side of this, just like we're seeing now. Legislative leaders have denounced this political violence. There's no place for it.
Anything to add there?
I agree with a lot of the things that he said, and I would say that most members of Congress are following that advice, but there are some members of Congress that are inciting even higher emotions, and I think that's what needs to be called out as well. And I always, my mom and dad raised me that we look at ourselves first, and what did am I wrong here in some sort of situation before pointing the finger at somebody else, and but I think that at the same time, we do have to call people out that are inciting violence and celebrating a man's death. I mean, at the end of the day, there's no room in this country to celebrate the death of anyone. I mean, I remember when President Biden announced that he had cancer. We put out a statement, that our thoughts and prayers are with the Biden family because he's facing cancer, which was obviously something that could cause death. We just don't celebrate that at all. I mean, the murders up in Minnesota of state legislators. I mean, I was a state legislator. It would be the nightmare to all of us to open up our front door and somebody is there standing there with a gun to shoot us. I mean, no one should ever celebrate death in America. We should always celebrate life. And so my belief is that whoever out there on the internet that is pushing any sort of rhetoric related to celebrating the assassination of Charlie Kirk needs to stop. I mean, and you know what? There's no room for violence on either side, Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal. At the end of the day, we're Americans, and we need to remember that.
Do you think this will have a chilling effect on who's willing to run for public office?
It may. We are actually doing a celebration of life for Charlie Kirk's life in my district next week. And we already have over 1,500 people that have RSVP'd. It's like people are wanting to be together in this moment where the graphic images of Charlie Kirk's death is seared in so many minds, people's minds that saw the video. And the heartbreak, if you're a human being and you can't identify somehow and have a sadness about seeing a man's life taken right in front of the country, something's wrong. And not only mentally, but I think we also need to have a spiritual check as well in all of us that we just say, you know what, we're created in God's image, and that we should never celebrate someone's death in this way. And so, yes, I think that there will be some people that say, I'm not sure that I would want to do that because of the danger that comes with it.